All right, guys, so I think that everybody can agree that the Robb Elementary School mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that left 19 kids dead and 2 adults dead as well, is one of the worst tragedies in American history, okay? People on both sides of the aisle have been mourning over the tragic loss of life that occurred from this event, and most of the conversation has been about how and why did we let this happen? Now, obviously, that conversation becomes political in nature, with both sides of the aisle proposing their own solutions, right? The left proposing more gun control, the right proposing more armed security and school safety measures. But one thing the left and the right do seem to agree on when it comes to the situation is that the police, okay, the Uvalde local police department takes a whole lot of blame for why these kids tragically died, or at least that is the consensus right now, so it seems, right? As a lot of people criticizing the police for their response, okay? They say that the police were outside the door of the classroom in which the shooter had locked himself in with kids and was slaughtering kids, and police was outside of the classroom for 30, 40, 50 minutes before finally going in and killing the shooter, okay? Despite the fact that you had kids in there calling 911, right? Telling them, hey, come help us, come save us. Again, it's a very, very, very tragic story. So a lot of the criticism as to why this happened, why so many people died, why so many kids died, is being directed at the police. Some people going as far as to call them cowards for how they handled this situation. So with that being said, I will say this, okay? In regards to the reactions to what happened in Uvalde, despite it being so tragic, I will say I'm pleasantly surprised to see that there were no woke racialized takes in regards to why this happened, okay? Because anytime there's a tragedy in this country, there will be a woke racialized take as to what happened and why it happened, okay? And I was, again, pleasantly surprised to see that that wasn't the case in this situation, at least until now. As leave it up to a woke blue check academic to come out here and give probably the stupidest take I've ever heard in my life on why the police did not rush into the school to save those kids. Why didn't the police do more? As she claims that the police are basically racist, right? That the police are racist against Mexican American children, and that is why they did not do more to save them. Now, anybody who knows anything, any basic knowledge about that community, okay, even from watching, MSN or whatever, right, knows that that community is mostly Latino, mostly Mexican American. So with that being said, common sense would tell you that a lot of those police were probably Latino, right, or Mexican American, and some of those police officers probably had kids in that school as well too. So I'm not necessarily sure how race plays a factor here, but let's actually read about this insane take that was so bad that this professor actually deleted the tweet after getting flamed for saying this. Okay, so let's actually read here. University of Pennsylvania professor and MSNBC contributor Anthea Butler suggested that Texas police didn't respond sooner to the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde because they, quote, didn't give a damn about a school filled with mostly brown kids. Quote, since no one else will ask, I will. Did those children die because most of them were Mexican American and the police didn't give a damn about a school with predominantly brown kids? I mean, it's Texas. And if you think everyone isn't white is illegal, Butler tweeted on Friday. So again, if you know nothing about this situation at all, you know nothing about it, don't know who's involved, nothing about the community, you would think that all the police officers were white, okay? And that they were white supremacists who just let children die because they're not white, or because they think that all the children, because they have Latino descent or Mexican descent or whatever, they are illegal, okay? That's what you would think, okay? And you would have thought that this professor would at least do some basic research about demographics and who was actually involved in this incident before she would put out a tweet like this. But no, she can't help herself, because this is how these people make a living, right? They make a living putting out these super radical woke tweets, okay, that in my opinion, if a conservative academic put this out, he would be fired, right? He would be fired, okay? There was a professor down in Florida, I think the University of Central Florida, that basically lost his job because he put out a tweet in which he basically claimed that there was black privilege, right? He claimed there was black privilege, and they basically fired him for it. This professor right here can basically falsely claim that the police are racist and that they let kids die because of their skin color, and nothing's going to happen to her, right? She might actually get a raise. Who knows, right? Who knows? The UPenn professor has since deleted her tweet, which was screenshotted and shared by a constitutional scholar, Jonathan Turley. He says, University of Pennsylvania professor Anthea Butler is at the center of another controversy after suggesting that the Uvalde police didn't give a damn about the children because they were predominantly brown kids. Butler's comments arrived amid reports that police had waited nearly an hour to storm a classroom in the elementary school where the shooter was slaughtering children, a move that Texas Department of Public Safety Director Stephen McCraw later said was the wrong decision. The professor's critics have pointed out that the Uvalde Police Chief Daniel Rodriguez, Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief Pedro Arredondo, and many of the officers on the scene were Latino. Quote, Professor Butler knows that she can write and advocate without fear of university actions to remove her, Turley added. That is precisely what all faculty should enjoy as a matter of academic freedom and free speech. However, it is a privilege often exercised selectively today. Yes, he is absolutely correct, right? In that situation that I just pointed out to you guys about that professor down in Florida who put out a tweet that is way less controversial than the tweet she put out. Yeah, that guy lost his job for it, right? Now, he eventually got his job back because that's his freedom of speech, okay? But again, there is a double standard here. Woke liberal academics can say whatever they want, specifically about white folks, right? It doesn't matter if it's true or not. They can say it, okay? Don't matter if it's incendiary. Don't matter if it's a call to violence. None of that stuff matters. They can say whatever they want, right? And they don't have to worry about fear of losing their jobs. However, if you're on the right and you say something that is benign as, I don't know, Biden's affirmative action Supreme Court nominee, Ms. Ketanji Brown Jackson isn't the most qualified person of color, right? Which is what Ilya Shapiro said, a Georgetown professor said. Yeah, you might get the woke mob protesting against you, right? You will be accused of being a flaming racist, okay? That is what happened to him for simply saying that, okay? But again, you can say stuff like this as a woke liberal professor and nothing will happen to you at all. Now, with that being said, again, fringe speech, right, and fringe ideas like this belong in academia, right? I don't think she should be fired for saying what she says, okay? But at the same time, again, there's a double standard. What I'm saying is that ultimately people on the right should be allowed to say their fringe ideas in academia as well and not be protested against and not be fired from their jobs for it, okay? But that's not the world that we live in. Others also took to social media to slam Butler for her comments. Quote, the only acceptable answer for many today is race. That's all they see. Around every corner, the specifics of the situation do not matter. This is a clear example, and from a highly educated educator, one Twitter user commented. Yeah, these people that claim to be highly educated are just highly educated idiots, right? That's what they are. Because again, there were a lot of men and women of Latino descent that were on that police force, right? That were there. And they had kids in the building as well, too, okay? I believe there were some kids of officers who died during this incident. So don't sit here and try to tell me that racism is why they didn't go in, right? They don't care about brown kids, right? Again, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anthea Butler is the new kind of college intellectual racist, dumb and absolutely wrong. Another one tweeted, that is crazy. There were white kids who died, too. This has nothing to do with it. A third one wrote, yeah, there were white kids that died. Not all of them were, of Latino descent. There were kids of all different races that died, and race had nothing to do with the police response, okay? Again, that is a take that I was glad I didn't hear, again, up until now, in which this is what she put out here. Hard to imagine that there is a scholar somewhere in the large country with this outrageous take, another reacting. Start up the outrage machine. I'm starting to think this must be how they all think. Yeah, they say this stuff for retweets and likes, right? Does she actually really believe this? No. Of course she doesn't believe this, okay? Because again, as an academic, she should at least have educated herself on the different demographics of that area, okay? And the demographics of that police force and the children in that school. In which I'm pretty sure she did, but she couldn't help herself in putting out this racialized tweet. Because again, that gets retweets and likes. This is not the first time Butler has been lambasted for her remarks. Last year, the professor said that evangelicals did not follow Christian scripture, but rather they follow the Republican Party. The same year, Butler claimed that evangelical Christians are white racists who may end up killing us all. In 2015, the professor also attacked Dr. Ben Carson, saying that he deserved a, quote, C-word of the year award. Yeah, she seems like a nice lady, right? She seems like a nice lady. Somebody that, we can all get along with, that is for unity, okay? Yeah, I don't think so. None of these people are interested in unity because these are not the type of tweets you put out, right, when you're trying to unify the country, because the country was unified in regards to blaming the police and saying that, hey, that police should take some responsibility for what happened here. But yeah, she tries to basically break up that unity by throwing race into it and saying, well, the police are racist, right? Again, this stuff is so silly. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.